I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. And I'll build them very inexpensively. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. Mark my words.
In June 2015, Republican presidential candidate Donald J. Trump announced his ambitious plan to build a wall along the United States southern border and make Mexico pay for its construction, which is perhaps one of the loftiest and most unrealistic plans the world has ever seen. While many of his supporters found this to be an easy fix to our country's immigration problems, the proposal in reality is very problematic. It has serious economic ramifications on trade and for the labor market, not to mention the hefty price. The first major issue in his plan is his imaginative proposal that Mexico will pay for the wall's construction. His plan would cancel remittances and visas to Mexico unless it paid a one-time fee of somewhere between $5 and $10 billion for the wall's construction. Remittances are an important part to economic development and financial inclusion globally. Additionally, remittances encourage the underground or illegal flow of money across borders. Will Olney, a professor at Williams Colleges, made the following remarks about globalization. Globalization is not about making a deal or winning negotiations. In fact, a century's worth of economic research shows that globalization is mutually beneficial for both countries involved. Of course, some people are adversely affected, as they would be with any large economic change, but these adjustment costs should be addressed through aid, education, and retraining programs rather than being used as an excuse to block the very forces that have generated such rapid economic growth. If the US stopped sending remittances, this could also negatively impact trade because relationships with other countries will be worse and trade deals could get cut. As such, the United States would have to domestically produce some goods that they should not be producing due to great opportunity costs. The second major issue here is with regard to the labor force and the labor market. His plan would ultimately shrink the labor force by about 5%, the equivalent of removing all workers from North and South Carolina. The American Action Forum found that Trump's plan would reduce private sector output by somewhere between $380 and $620 billion. The industries hit the hardest by this would be the farming and construction industries because these two industries have the highest percentage of undocumented workers. Due to this shortage of workers, prices of goods would increase, as would interest rates and inflation. These factors combined could ultimately lead the US to its second major economic recession of the 21st century. To give a comparison, Boston's Big Dig costed nearly $15 billion and is the second most expensive infrastructure project in US history, besides the construction of the interstate highways. Additionally, according to the American Action Forum, the deportation of 11 million undocumented immigrants would cost somewhere between $100 billion and $300 billion due to the costs to create hundreds of extra detention centers, 17,000 more charter flights, and 30,000 more charter buses. To add on that, an additional 32,000 new immigration attorneys would be hired. And finally, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement would need to expand its force from 5,000 to about 90,000. That is not only impractical, but also insanely expensive. A country that is already more than $19 trillion in debt should not be dumping hundreds of billions of dollars into a single project. Donald Trump, who has now been elected as the 45th President of the United States, made plenty of ridiculous statements and proposals during the primary season. But the border wall proposal tops the list. Not only will it hurt international trade, but it would shrink the labor force significantly and would significantly add to our national debt. Whether he did not give his plan much thought before announcing it, somehow had already created an elaborate plan to pay for it all, or did not actually intend to follow through on his idea, the border wall proposal may be the most ambitious, ridiculous, and impractical mega project ever to be conceived by any major world leader.
All in all, it's just another brick in the your